started. We're going to get the rest of the team probably joining very soon. So hi, everyone. Again, thank you for joining us today. We have a very fun session today. I'm sharing the virtual stage with Garrett Merguth. That's how we pronounce your name, right, Garrett?
Merguth. I mean, we're trying. We're close, baby.
There we go. I have the same problem whenever I join any other session, so I feel you. Garrett is CEO and co-founder of Directive. Directive is a performance marketing agency, an award-winning, one of the biggest ones out there. They're headquartered in California, and I also understand you guys have offices in LA, New York, and London, right, Garrett?
Yeah, now also Canada and Australia, so we can do more stuff globally. So yeah, this year is a lot about going global, so it's kind of fun.
That's awesome. And as I was mentioning at the beginning, when some of you were joining, we're going to be covering a very fun topic for me. I think it's one of the main roadblocks that most agency owners face, if not all, face today. We definitely hear it on a daily basis from our partners, and this is related to customer generation. Some of us refer to it as lead generation, but when you hear Garrett speak, you're going to understand why we're now talking about customer generation. Garrett is a public speaker. He knows this topic very well because what he's going to be covering is basically their blueprint and what's actually worked for them within Directive and what's led to the success of the agency out there. So, well, first of all, thank you for joining us, Garrett. It's a pleasure to share the virtual stage with you, and I'm going to let you take the wheel and walk us through some of the great content that you have for today.
Well, thank you, Francisco. I am very, very excited to be here. Lauren, you got a question? You raised your hand. No? Okay. Well, I'm very excited to be here and talking with all of you today. And I'm going to share my screen. We're going to have some fun. We're going to kind of talk about pipeline, how to drive revenue, and what we can do about it. So can everybody see my screen? I think that's a yes.
Yes, sir.
Cool. Awesome. Well, I am very much like every one of you. I believe that sales, having money in my pocket, makes it a lot easier to solve problems. And a lot of my stress, my anxiety, running an agency and all its difficulties is borderline always massively elevated and escalated when I don't have enough pipeline, right? That's when I lose that client, I get desperate. I don't know how I'm going to get my next client. I might have an underperformer on my team, but I don't feel I can hire someone better because I don't know if I have enough margin. Almost all my problems I can feel hopeless to solve when I don't have enough pipeline. And we're going to talk today about how at Directive we do this and how you can do this for yourself. So what is customer generation? Customer generation is a marketing methodology developed by Directive and myself that focuses on SQLs and customers instead of things like MQLs. What I found was by reading the blog posts that everyone else was writing and doing what everyone else was doing, I was getting similar results to everyone else, which was my paid social wasn't working, my paid search wasn't doing what I wanted, and I was struggling to be able to monetize my digital advertising. I am very much of the belief that if you are an agency and you sell a service, you need to be able to get customers for yourself with the service you sell to others. Like, to me, that is like a very, very critical part of being successful as an agency. So we're going to dive into this. We're going to unpack it all. But what did it do for me? We went from being an agency that was going to do about $6 million a year to where our forecast this year is between $25 to $30 million. And this is since January of 2021. So for context, this has completely changed my life, completely changed my company. And also completely change our customers. And I think it can change yours. So what is everyone else doing versus what are we doing, and what can you be doing moving forward? Well, what people are normally doing right now is they're doing some version of third-party data for targeting. So what I mean by that, they are going on LinkedIn, and the premise of advertising on LinkedIn for B2B, the primary targeting component is based on industry. Now, there's a big problem with advertising to people based on industry targeting. For example, I'm just going to give you one right now, Betterment. If you haven't heard of Betterment before, they are a kind of robo-advisor in the financial services space. They let you do mutual funds, recurring deposits, things like that. Well, if you wanted to advertise to Betterment, you have two ways of doing it. Betterment is either a financial services company or they are a computer software company. Now, the problem is for Directive, I only help computer software companies. I help software companies. Now, If I target computer software, ironically, Betterment, if you go to their LinkedIn, categorizes themselves as financial services. So if I wanted to advertise to Betterment, I'd have to advertise to financial services. Now, the problem with advertising to financial services is the vast majority of companies that identify as professional services look more like Northwestern Mutual than they do Betterment. So I get a ton of waste. In other words, what I would argue right now is if you are not using my data approach to advertising, I would argue that 50% of the companies you think you are advertising to do not fit your ideal customer profile and is inaccurate before you ever delivered an impression. And then most of you try to fix your campaigns by optimizing in the platform. Well, that's wrong. You need to optimize towards your audience, and you need to optimize towards the data that you're actually spending money on. Okay. Most of your gains are going to come from improving your activation, not decreasing your acquisition. And we'll talk about that more. Other people are talking about their product, all their features, what they do. What you really want to do is talk about outcomes and how you help your customers' lives. People have ROI as the goal. Everybody says, "Oh, if I had ROI, I'd love, I'd love to hire you, Garrett, but I got to see ROI." People love talking about ROI. Once we see the ROI, we'll spend more. I want to tell you all the truth. Okay, I've done this for 8+ years now. Biggest brands, smallest companies in the world. Built this whole thing selling $5 social media calendars on Fiverr, and I've never taken a penny from anybody. And I built this whole company with 20 bucks. I've been on my own since I was 18 years old, and I'm a missionary kid. Okay, I don't come from any money. So all of this is built through hard work. And what I found is there's nobody in the world who's ever actually spent more when they saw ROI. Okay. So we have to actually figure out how we develop what that context is for what we spend by understanding, more importantly than ROI, what our LTV CAC is. And then we need to actually get people to a sales meeting, not get a marketing qualified lead and go, "Did my job. Woo, I'm driving pipeline, baby. Sales is a problem now." That's not how it works. Marketing and sales have to share a number, and we have to make sure everything we do drives sales as marketers. And then lastly, I don't know how it happened, but it appears that every B2B marketer in the world got together and said, "You know what we're going to do? Be boring." And then that's how they do their brands. And what I want to show you today is how you can use emotional experiences. Okay. So these are the 5 principles. We're going to unpack each, and this is how we're going to get into the weeds of this. So first party data unlocks scale. In other words, how do you advertise only to named accounts in a way scaled up version of kind of ABM? How do you be customer led? How do you do financial modeling? How do you drive sales qualified leads instead of marketing qualified leads? And how do you get away from just being a boring B2B company? So first things first, to do customer generation, everything is codependent on our data. Okay. And what I mean by being codependent on our data, like we said earlier, most of you are advertising to a black box. When you advertise on LinkedIn, when you advertise on Facebook, when you advertise on any of these platforms, you do not know the exact companies that received your ads. And so what you end up doing is launching campaigns and then trying to drive better leads for sales based on their feedback. Yet the irony is you're actually creating a wedge between you and sales because you're sending them bad leads and you have to kind of work through it together. Okay. Happens all the time. We want to avoid that by actually only sending good leads. And this is going to unlock our creativity as marketers. So step 1, you have to choose your data provider. Okay. I'm biased towards ZoomInfo because we do everything for them. They're a great customer. But you can use Clearbit, Seamless, Crunchbase. I've even heard somebody using PitchBook recently. So anywhere you want to use to get your data. Okay. We're going to choose that data. Step 1. Step 2, we need to build out our firmographic targeting. I'm going to give you exactly what mine is and kind of how I do it right now. And then hopefully that can help you. So the key to making this all work is you cannot be a company for everybody. You have to have something that makes you different. The way I see marketing and what I've always seen work for me is I have a philosophy, a belief that people will only pay you more if you are different. You cannot prove that you are better. So many of you right now are struggling to monetize your marketing because your entire sales pitch goes like this. We've been doing this for 10+ years. We've got great NPS score. We work harder than anyone in the industry, and our team is awesome. That is your pitch. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I know it because I hop on calls. I see it all the time. And it's the biggest problem with my clients. And these are publicly traded software companies oftentimes. Their whole premise of why they exist is they are better. You need to be different. So this is how Directive does it. At Directive, we only service software companies. We have more experience in the software industry than anyone else. Everyone we hire is built and hired around only delivering value for software companies. All of our learning and development and our training is derived around building value for software companies. Every service and product we offer is around software companies, and we are 3 times larger than our nearest competitor. Because of all that focus, we now have a completely differentiated way of going to market for you called customer generation. You see, and I start to actually layer in what makes me different, not what makes me better. Okay, I want it to be apples and oranges when you compare me. Now, when you build out your TAM, for me, because I only service software, here's how I do it. I want software companies that have at least done a Series A in funding. I get that data from Crunchbase. I want software companies that have a certain level of maturity that I know that they can afford my minimums, right? So what I always want to do is make sure if I drove the lead, they could afford me. I could monetize all the leads I drive, right? They are a software company that could afford me. So I'm looking at their digital maturity by looking at their tech stack. For example, I know that someone has Marketo theoretically is more mature as a marketing org than someone that has HubSpot or a different lower value platform like a Zoho. I also know that how much they are advertising. So I did something very unique. I built my own database. So once I got all the software companies in the world, I organized them by industry and sub-industry so I could break out and niche my messaging. But then I also enriched them. So I enriched their data with Ahrefs, SEMrush, and SpyFu. Why did I do that? Well, now I can build a logarithmic directive score that tells me essentially their search engine marketing maturity. How likely is this person to be able to afford my $8,500 a month minimums? Well, I can then literally take all of my current clients, see what SpyFu says they are spending. Then I can look at what they are actually spending. And then I can build a delta that says if someone has a SpyFu score of greater than this is their spend. And then if that number times 15%, which is my starting management fee, is greater than 8,500, I now know that I can afford, this client can afford me. That unlocks all of my creativity. There is no waste in my ad spend because every single solitary person I advertise to could one day be a customer. That is what fuels our growth. That's what makes data so important. Yeah, Francisco.
Karen, yeah, I have a question. You were discussing the specialization of a vertical, and you guys obviously focus on software. Yeah. What would you recommend for agencies? You know, most of the smaller agencies that start up, they usually go for whatever they find. Like they don't start with a particular vertical. They just take any SMB out there, and then they eventually try to find their niche. But what would you recommend to them in terms of specializing from the get-go? So if I'm if I'm opening an agency, maybe I've been working in the marketing field for a while, I have experience with different verticals and I want to open up my agency. What should I focus on? Like, is there a fail-proof vertical? Should I do it based on what the market is doing right now? Are those fail-proof verticals too competitive if I want to start out? What would you recommend?
Great question, Francisco. Let me just use my story as an example so everybody can break free of all their garbage in their head. This is the biggest problem with founders, right? We have a billion ideas and we don't know how to act on the right one because we just get that anxiety builds up in our head and we can't say no to everybody because we don't feel confident that if we did say we're just for somebody, we could actually get those people to want us. Okay. So what did I do? Well, I literally was a broke kid coming from a broke family who loved me to death, works their absolute butt off, but I wasn't born with a spoon, okay? I just had to earn it all. So I've been on my own since I was 18. Went to college, paid for it, played soccer, did all that. I wanted to go pro in soccer. I tore my knee and I had to go from there. And so what I did is I went on Fiverr. I had 6 odd jobs and I just decided, what do people with money who are older than me think I'm good at and what do they not know? They don't know the internet. So I just figured, hell, I'll just teach myself digital marketing because people who have money and are older and older people don't know digital marketing. So they can hire me even though I'm young and I don't have to have a ton of experience because they literally don't know this field and I can get myself into this. So that's how I started. And all I did was get local clients. So my very first client was I have it still here today. I gotta show you this, Francisco, because it's cool. Is this? It's a hookah shop with a oil stain on everything. I was so bad at contracts, I didn't even include the price. This is from August 1st, 2013. And I did the work for 30 days. He told me, I came to get my check. He said, come back tomorrow. The whole place was boarded up. Very first customer, I got stiffed. Okay. From that though, I realized I was good at like just helping local business people. So I decided I was going to be a local SEO person. Remember, if you can't niche to a vertical, you can also niche to a service. In other words, White Shark is niched to outsourcing. So that is their niche. That is what makes them different, is they are an outsourced partner. Now, for White Shark to further that, I would encourage them, for example, to say, well, what makes you different from all the other outsourced partners, right? And now we keep pushing that narrative of what makes us different, and we keep developing that. And that's what we call our positioning and our messaging, to figure out what makes us different than the marketplace. So when we sell, we should always be apples and oranges, not apples and apples. And that's what lets you not lose on price, because you can't easily compare yourself to the people you're competing against. So I started in local, worked my butt off, and I got a little lucky. I built a lot of relationships. I created a lot of content, and I got on Moz recommended list for local SEO. Then, because of that, I got the Allstate account when I was 23 years old, and I still have it today. I'm the agency of record for Allstate, like the insurance company. So from that, I kind of built out in local. Now, the problem with local was, as I was building, I realized it was hard to have Allstate and State Farm. And then it was hard to get big local clients and the big local clients usually had multiple locations. And so it was very, like, vast majority of local clients were too small for us because they were just small shops and I couldn't raise my rates. So I got out of local and I got into B2B. Then from B2B, I did okay, but I started to realize that of my B2B clients, all my best ones were software companies, but a lot of them were enterprise. So I tried to go enterprise. I was way too early. My service model was an enterprise. I looked like a child. I didn't have the right customers. I couldn't pull it off. So from going to try to be enterprise, I went and said, all right, well, back to B2B. And then finally, when I was in B2B, I swallowed my pride and said, you know what? I just got to service software. And I didn't want to do it. I felt like I was restricting myself. I didn't feel like I felt like it would be boring. I thought I'd be leaving a ton of money on the table. Best decision I ever made. From going to software, we are now the largest performance marketing agency in the world for software. And it's not even close. So just by owning software and staying disciplined and then reinventing who I hired, what I delivered, what our services were, how we functioned, everything to just be for software, we were able to do it. So my encouragement to all of you is how you choose your niche. Do it based on what you love. Do it based on what you're passionate about, and keep it simple, stupid. Look at your customers, see which ones you get the best results for, see which ones pay you the most money, see which ones you retain the most often, and then just say, screw it. I'm going to go all in on those people. And when I finish this presentation, I guarantee you, you will know how to go and get those people. And you can actually niche in a way you've never been able to do before, because I'm giving you the playbook. Does that make sense, Francisco?
Yes, sir.
Cool. So I've got my data. Now, once we get our data, we got to manually verify this data. Okay. So for me, right? Computer software companies, Series A funding, with a marketing automation platform, at least 50 employees in the US. All right, cool. Export my list. Now, what I found is I had to manually verify this. So we use our interns. They do this for us. And we went from 9,000 accounts to 4,000 accounts. This is due to data categorization. I can't harp on this enough. When you are advertising right now, whether you believe it or realize it or whatever, the audience you think you are advertising to is 50% incorrect. I guarantee it. Okay. I mean, this is off of 4 different data providers doing this, like with as many VLOOKUPs and as best as you can do. Even after all of that, I still had 50% waste when I manually verified. Okay. What do I do when I manually verify? I just click on their website and things like that. Like computer software, for example, gets you a lot of custom software development companies. So there's like so many reasons why the data is bad, and it's nobody's fault. You just have to manually verify it. Okay. So now I have 3.9 thousand accounts. Next thing I do is I got to upload those 3.9 thousand accounts to my sales platform. Okay. By doing this, you're going to look like a badass in front of your whole company or in front of your boss. And the way you do that is now you can report on market share. Remember, you just niched. You chose a niche. You said, this is what I do, and this is the exact person I want. Okay. By the way, do not go after companies more than 500 employees unless you're a certified enterprise company. Just trust me on this. Okay. Companies with over 500 employees buy very differently. And it is very hard to go up market. You have a lot more revenue. And the irony is mid-market companies spend a lot more on marketing than enterprise ones. You would be shocked at how much smaller my biggest company's clients' contracts are than my mid-market. The mid-market is where the money is in marketing, because those are all the companies that are spending money to grow to where they want to be. Okay, we are a vessel for revenue growth. When companies get fully mature, they don't use their revenue, their EBITDA, their net profit, as much to grow revenue as they do use it for acquisitions and logistics to drive efficiency on their cost of goods sold, because they have what's called inelastic price. So enterprise companies are very different and harder to service in performance marketing and pay less oftentimes than mid-market ones. Okay. And so by using this data and this philosophy, which I'm about to show you, in 12 months, I held sales calls with 62% of those 4.8 thousand accounts. In other words, I had a sales call with 3,000 accounts in 12 months. We took 62% market share. You can do this and will change your life. You just got to do it the right way. Okay. So that's the data. We get all our data. We export our data. We manually verify our data. We try to focus on the mid-market. We don't want the SMBs. We don't want the massive companies. We want these mid-market companies where it's easy to identify the buying center and we don't have to go through procurement, and we can actually win these deals post lead. Okay. Then what we need to do is we got to be customer led. Most of people, this is for agencies as well. Most people have a services tab on their agency and it goes product A, product B, product B, service A, service B, service C. What we really want to do is be able to map this as solutions. These are the outcomes you get from working with your agencies. Okay. This is really, really big. So an example of how you do this and kind of what it looks like in a content strategy comes from Workable. This is really, really important. Most of people are doing content that doesn't make logical sense. Okay. And we're just gonna get real talk for a second about marketing. Okay. Most of you are writing content that if you actually read, you'd probably barf. That's the truth. Okay. It's the truth for me. True for me. Like I would argue you have a lot of content that you're trying to rank because you want to drive leads. Yet ironically, if you actually ranked for that content and people read it, they most likely would be less likely to hire you than they were before. That's the facts. None of us want to be real about it, but I'm going to be real with y'all for a second today. That's the truth of your content. It stinks. You know why? My content stinks. Everybody's content stinks because we don't put enough effort and time into it. And we don't create a logical connection between what we're writing and how we're going to monetize it. So I want to show you how you can do it differently. One of the coolest things we did at Directive was we introduced a way to bi-directionally communicate with our customers when they didn't have purchase intent. I'm going to say that again. We created a way to bi-directionally communicate with our audience when they didn't have purchase intent. Okay, most of us want premium pricing. We want to raise our rates. Well, every time you raise your rates, you actually decrease your audience, which then decreases your ability to build a brand because you don't service that many people. Like I only have like 150 accounts compared to like a Boostability or somebody who might have 20,000 accounts. Well, they get a way bigger brand and they can do a lot of different types of marketing due to their volume of customers. Okay, most of us can't monetize all of our traffic, yet we need a way to integrate our traffic to our brand, even if those people can't afford us right now, because they're going to change jobs, they're going to get bigger budgets, they're going to grow in their career. And we want to be able to create a monetization strategy around everybody, even if it's not today. So you need to build a bridge. Workable does this exceptionally well. Okay. And there's more to the bridge, I guess, before I keep going. There's a bridge and then there's a fundamental problem we just got to talk. Everyone in your company that could actually write content that anyone gave a damn about that actually mattered to your business, you can't get to write. Like, can anyone actually get a thought leader at their company to write? Like, I wish I could see your hands, but I guarantee you, like, all of our biggest problem is the only people that are writing for us have no idea what the hell they're talking about. And the people who do know what they're talking about, you can't get to write because they're so busy with everything else. That is the truth of content marketing, especially in the agency world. And so what do you do then? Because you still need content. Well, what Workable does is they come up with what I label as functional content, job to be done content. In other words, what are the jobs to be done of your ideal customer persona? What do they need to do? What are they trying to accomplish in their life? Like, and then how do you position yourself? For example, like for my RevOps offering, someone might be really struggling with how to do lead scoring or how to integrate lead scoring from HubSpot to Salesforce. That's a job to be done. Now, writing how to do that is a methodology type post that is factual. It is not opinionated. That's what Workable is doing. They understand that their persona is the HR manager at a company with under 100 employees. And then they're creating content that resonates with that person. In other words, they know that person, for example, has to do a lot of job descriptions. So they're writing job descriptions. So what they do is they build a massive library of thousands of job descriptions. Well, now they rank for all of those job descriptions and they're driving traffic for it. They're helping people with their job to be done. And then here's the beauty. They then integrate that so that you can literally post that job description to their product and they can monetize their top of funnel traffic. It's the best content marketing I've ever seen because you can do high volume queries that you don't need thought leaders to create, that you can outsource, but that you can still monetize because it solves a job to be done. For me, what I do is I push my Slack group. So when I write a piece of content, I don't expect you to read, how to do customer generation and go, you know what I need to do right now? Open up my wallet and hire these guys. I think what you're going to do is say, that's great. Timing's not right now, but I'm going to pay attention to this company and they taught me something. So what I want them to do is take an action that reflects where they're at in their journey. And I want them to join my Slack group. And my Slack group, I'm in, everyone's in. It's called Society. You can join it. You can DM me or anyone on my team, any question, and we give you free advice. We have almost 2,000 members in the group. It's an active community. It's very cool. And that's what we do, right? If I can't have 2,000 customers, how can I have 2,000 fans? And that creates a bi-directional way for us to build our brand. It's a bridge between our content strategy and monetizing it. But if you write content and your only way of monetizing it is hoping that they read it and they're just inspired to get a proposal, you're leaving millions of dollars on the table, okay? For Workable, they're doing over 35 million visits a year from this strategy. It's epic. So I highly encourage you to check it out. It's our HR toolkit. Hopefully it can inspire you and you can learn from it for your own company. Here's a little bit how we do it. We're not going to dive into this too much right now, but understand your ideal customer persona and their jobs to be done. Figure out an offer and that'll resonate. Do your research, plan your campaigns, map your messaging, okay? Now, all of you obviously started agencies because you have a background in economics and you absolutely love financial modeling and that's what you're passionate about and that's why you started your agency. Psych, right? That is not why any of us are in this. Most of us kind of like disdain finance. Now I'm a weirdo and I love it. And I actually did come from an economics background. I did my degree in 3 years. I did my master's the 4th. I was like a homeschooled nerd kid who like loves school and stuff. So I did all this and I realized when I got into marketing, marketers are in a really tough spot. Like you're in a very tough spot. Like I wish I could ask this to the group and just hear what you think, but I know it's true. So just hear what I'm saying. You are constantly getting asked to hit a client's goal that they've never hit before with a budget that's not nearly enough to do it. That's your reality, right? Like we don't exist. Like nobody's ever hired us and been like, you know what we're crushing? Paid media. You know what we want you to do? Just keep it going. That's not how we get hired. We get hired by someone who's on their 3rd agency and you're like red flag. And then you have to then go in there and like turn the ship around and you never have enough capital. What I found in life in running an agency is all the problems of my agency and all the problems of my clients can very simply be boiled down to one thing. They have not allocated enough capital, time, or attention to the area they're struggling. And so what I'm going to do today is I'm going to give you all a model in a way for you to understand how much you can spend for customers, how much you need to spend to get to your goals, and what you need to do. Okay. So the first thing we need to do is we just got to gather our numbers, right? And so here's kind of the numbers you're going to need. You're going to need to know your gross margin. Okay. You all should know your gross margin. This is how much it costs you to service a customer. You should know how long you keep a customer for. and you should know on average how much they're paying you every month. From this, we can build our lifetime value. Also, we need to track our customer acquisition. How much money did we spend? How much were the salaries of the team on sales and marketing that were involved in closing the deal? What technology did we use? All of this stuff, okay? This is what's driving your customer acquisition cost. And then all we want is we want our lifetime value to be 3 times that of our customer acquisition cost. For example, in this example, you can see that this person can spend $968 on a demo, okay? The reason many of you are not getting the pipeline you want is you are underinvesting. I currently almost spend 20% of revenue on sales and marketing. In return, I've been growing at almost 3x for 8 straight years. But that's the truth. You are underinvesting in your channel. So what you need to know is you need to be able to document what you can spend for every life cycle stage. Okay, I use HubSpot for this. I love HubSpot. I actually think it's better than Marketo. I'm a big fan of it and has built-in attribution. Okay, so you can use their marketing platform and you will get all this data. And I am using first interaction because I want to know which ad campaign acquired the customer, not what closed them, because it's easier for me to allocate my capital to acquisition than it is activation when it comes to advertising. Okay, from that, you're going to put it into this tool I built for you. Now, what's cool about this tool that you're going to get and they're going to email to you is you are going to actually be able to push back on customers. And this is what we use with all of our customers. So a customer will say, hey, I want to increase my demos by 43%. I say, hell yeah, baby, let's do it. Well, based on your data, we're going to have to increase your spend by 42,000, or you're going to need 42,000, which means you're going to increase your spend by 12,000, but we're going to make you 28. Are you down for that? And they say, no, I can't spend 12,000. I say, perfect. I can't get you 43% increase. What a healthy way to serve customers instead of what you, I guarantee, and all your consultants are doing, which is, this is what I watch the Gong videos, right? I got 100 of these people. I got 120 of these people. What do? They hop on a call and the customer says, we're really excited. Our audience is, we serve finance people. We mostly need CFOs, publicly traded companies, and we need to get 12 of them a week. And my team goes, all right, sounds good. And they just ignore that. They just say, sounds good. And then 3 months later, the client's like, why aren't we getting that? And we got to go look at the data. It's like, well, you've only ever gotten 2. But nobody's having the real conversations. So one of the most important things you can do for your retention rate, your sales process, and for your own advertising is to really understand how much can you pay to acquire a lead, how much can you pay to acquire a proposal, and then from there, you get really creative on how you can get those. But I'm going to show you how creative we're going to get. And you're going to have a visceral reaction of, I don't want to give away free money. And what I want you to do is know that you're not giving away free money because you have documented how much you can spend on one customer. So, Francisco, before we go any further, any questions?
I do have a question in regards to the attribution model that you use First Touch, because this is quite the topic for our marketing teams. I know we have this discussion a lot internally, and I know our partners do. Why would you use First Touch?
Yeah, because everything else is bullshit, man. It's all fake. So the real question you're trying to figure out as a marketing leader is very, very simple. This is the biggest difference between a CMO at an elite level and everyone else, is they can answer this one question. Francisco, if I give you $1 million, how would you spend it? Now, the key to allocating capital is to have a feedback loop. In other words, when I spend X amount on this channel, Y occurs. In other words, I can have conditional logic to my capital allocation, which gives me a sense of control. Why is that so important? Because high-performing companies need to integrate their capital allocation model to their FP&A, their finance forecast, to fully understand their cost structures, their labor acquisition models, their forecasting to hiring. So when you're growing fast, like I am, my biggest problem isn't driving more revenue. It's matching my labor supply to my revenue so I don't have excess or deficit. So I don't have to either pause sales and lose money or have a bad gross margin because I have too much capacity. So I only care about first interaction when allocating my capital and doing my financial planning. That doesn't mean I don't look at all the other ones when trying to inform if those channels are meaningful. However, it's very hard to spend money on complementary, non-supportive channels. So what I always do to my team is I highly encourage them to show why their channel is worth additional capital if they're not acquiring companies initially. And that's where they get their ass kicked, because there's this very difficult debate between causation and correlation that's exceptionally difficult to prove. And so instead of trying to do that, and my background is literally like regression analysis and T-stat modeling and all this stuff, what I focus on is first interaction, because I know I cannot prove causation. And so because of that, that's why I focus on first interaction.
That makes sense.
Yeah, but you also have this financial model. You're going to be able to use it. And the byproduct of that is I want you to spend a hell of a lot more on advertising and marketing when you actually see the math. And if the math doesn't work and you can't spend on marketing or advertising, guess what you need to do? You need to lower your cost of goods sold, increase your price, and grow your retention. Now you know the 3 largest levers for being able to actually properly grow your business. In other words, if you cannot advertise, you cannot grow. I really do believe that. You don't have the proper economics to reinvest in your business. So even by doing this exercise, you'll be able to determine that. And the way you determine it, if you don't know your numbers, is you just use a unit economic of 1. And so instead of saying 35 deals right here, all you do is you put in 1 deal. And then you can see how much you can spend for 1 customer. So that's how I determine it. I build a model and I just base it off a unit economic of 1. And then I figure out how much I can spend for 1 customer. Okay. Now, what I did do for you as well, this is across $85 million in spend. I gave you data on the channels, and this is all from software companies, not myself. So this is anonymized data across almost $100 million in spend. Google, very high LTV CAC ratio because it has high purchase intent. LinkedIn for my customers oftentimes struggles, not because LinkedIn struggles, but because they don't do what we're about to talk about next. And directories are still king. So like if you're in professional services right now, clutch.co is big for you, for example. 10 best SEO, all those review sites. So whatever service you offer, just take the service you offer and then put the word reviews after it or top or best before it, and you'll be able to identify the directories in your space. Okay. And then you can see the verticals that we're in, and you can kind of see the different ratios we're hitting. I'm pretty proud of this though. I mean, across $85 million in spend in all these categories, almost every one of our clients is at an LTV CAC ratio of greater than 3. It's not easy to do. So we are a different agency, right? When I said I'm different, I actually hold myself accountable to how much business impact I create for you. That is very different than most agencies who like send leads and they're like, well, we hit our lead goal or we grew your traffic by 30%. I don't care about inputs. I only care about outcomes. Okay. So principle 4, we're wrapping up here. Monetizing paid social. Okay. There's a problem with growing your company today, and I'm going to make it as simple as I can so you understand what's actually occurring in the marketplaces. Google has intent, but no firmographics. Why does this matter? Well, after this conversation today, hopefully you're going to niche your organization. So you're going to go from being an SEO agency. Okay. I ranked #1 for SEO agency for a very long time. That's how I grew Directive. I did a lot of my own SEO. I ate my own dog food. I like to call it caviar, but you get my point, right? I did all my own stuff. That's still what I do. We grow through our own advertising. It's like research and development. And then I sell what works for me to my customers. Now, when I did that, it was great because I had low pricing. I was charging $400 a month, $250 a month when I started. So I could, everybody who searched SEO agency, I wasn't niche and I had accessible pricing. I could monetize everybody. But then what happened is when I niched, all my search volume went to crap. In other words, software companies search SEO agency more often than they search SaaS SEO agency. They don't even know a solution just for them exists. That's the problem with niching, right? So all your traditional demand gen goes to crap because the audience isn't even aware that a solution just for them exists, okay? And so you have purchase intent on Google, but you don't have any volume because of the firmographic component when you kind of narrow your keyword to your niche, right? Conversely, on social, you can go after software companies and directors of demand gen, right? Like I literally exist for a director of demand gen at a software company, Series A or greater, who has marketing technology, spending X amount on SpyFu, Y amount on their organic in the US. Now, unfortunately, I don't know if they're actually looking for an agency when I advertise to them on social. So I have firmographics, but no intent on social. And I have intent, but no firmographics on search, and I'm screwed. So what do? I advertise a shitty ebook and I'm disappointed when my SDRs call them, the customer hasn't read it, and I can't monetize paid social, so I give up on LinkedIn. I wish I could see your hands, but I pretty much guarantee every one of you is doing some type of crappy content asset on LinkedIn, and you can't monetize it. This is going to change that. So what did we do instead? I stopped trying to optimize for a lead on LinkedIn, and I started optimizing for a sales meeting on LinkedIn. So instead of trying to get a lower customer acquisition cost, I started to get instead of trying to get a lower cost per click or a lower cost per conversion, I started to try to optimize towards a lower cost per sales meeting. That's what changed everything. So when I saw how much I could spend for a demo, and then I also saw how much I could spend for an intro call, I used all of my money to pay the person for the action I wanted. Currently, you are giving all of your ad budget to the ad platform. Massive mistake. What you should be trying to do is give as much of your ad budget as possible to the prospect to motivate them to take the action you want. That mental shift for me completely changed our business. So I am literally Santa Claus. I'm giving out more gift cards than anyone in the world. I'm giving out millions of dollars of gift cards a year. Millions. Every single solid. So I have my TAM. How did I take 62% market share? Everything I do, I incentivize you $100 for a 20-minute meeting or 29-minute meeting. So you can see all the different data. This is real data across millions of dollars of spend. I do spend millions of dollars myself on this a year. Cost per form fill, $72. So this is a cost per lead gen form. I'm running these mostly on Convo ads. This is my #1 channel. My second channel is sponsored content. My third channel is Clearbit X, and we're going to talk about that in a second. So, and I'm going to give you the exact copy I use for the Convo ads, the exact copy, right? When I spend $1 million, I think I make 15 million using this exact message. So you can copy it yourself, okay? And then I got a cost per lead, fully blended of $172, right? How do I get there? Well, $72 for the meeting and $100 for the gift card. By paying people to attend a meeting, the meeting costs me less. Why is that? Well, advertising is based on an auction-based environment. Okay. You have diminishing marginal returns when you advertise. Every day that a competitor enters your marketplace, and this is what's interesting. In social media, they aren't a competitor to you because they offer what you offer. They're a competitor to you because they share your audience. In other words, every other company in the world that advertises to a director of demand gen, I am competing with. And every time they decide to advertise to that director of demand gen, they raise the CPM and the CPC by a greater percentage than I can raise my rates or decrease my cost of goods sold or increase my productivity. That creates diminishing marginal returns on that channel for me every day. So what I have to do is, instead of trying to lower my cost per conversion or cost per click, play a different game than everybody else and try to lower my cost per intro call held per sales meeting. So I am now incentivizing people with a $100 gift card to show up to the meeting. Sendoso is a client of ours as well. I think they're great. There are other people in the space like postal.io or Goody that you can use as well. Now, here's the exact messaging. So I want to show you a little bit of how we write copy here, because there's a lot to learn from it. A couple rules I have with copy. You're not ever allowed to write more than 3 lines. See how there's no more than 3 lines? Your brain will not read a block of text that has more than 3 lines. Don't believe me? Go on your website and try to mentally make yourself read something that has more than 3 lines. Your brain will literally shut off. I have no data on this. I've never done a study. Just is my own personal belief, but check it out for yourself and see what I'm saying. #1. #2, I believe all marketing should be shockingly memorable. There's a lot of noise. You need to stand out. I don't say 30 minutes. I say 29. I don't say $100. I say 105. I use emojis. Okay. Now remember, the gift card is the incentive. It's not your value prop. My value prop is I have the largest software agency in the world, and I work with the biggest brands in the world for software. My incentive is the gift card. You have to have a value prop and an incentive. This is a critical understanding of the psychology of why this works. So I lead client strategy for Directive, a customer generation agency for SaaS brands like New Relic and ZoomInfo, who rely on us to drive revenue, not MQLs and leads. Okay, this is our positioning statement, right? We drive revenue, not MQLs and leads. We have clear enemies that we're calling out. Then we have our bread and butter is customer generation through SEO, paid media, and creative. Now we use strong language. Take a call, not would you be interested, please? I promise we're good, right? It's take a call. with one of our experts after I'll send you a $100 gift card. Now, the other thing I see people do is say, no, I'm not interested. They literally let people opt out right here. That's not what we let you do. We say, not sure. So your only way is to keep moving forward with us. It's all psychology. Okay. There's a lot of creativity in why this works. This is our exact formula. And this exact message right here has made me over $15 million in the last 12 months. Okay. From there, this is where it gets really key. I need them to make a commitment. You do not want your salespeople trying to follow up with your leads to book a meeting. It's the biggest gap in your funnel. If you actually break out your funnel, the biggest problem you have is actually getting the people who said they wanted you to show up to wanting you. So what I do is I force them to get on a call. Don't believe me? Here's the exact data across millions of dollars. When I didn't use Chili Piper, who's also a customer, I don't mean to say it like this, y'all. It's just like literally, we have a lot of market share in software, especially in the marketing side. So Chili Piper is a customer of ours. You can use them or Calendly. Both are great. Chili Piper is better if you have multiple salespeople. Okay. And what I want to do is I want to go from, this is what it literally did for me. And this is the biggest thing you can do if you don't do anything that I have suggested today. At least when someone fills out your form, instead of doing that stupid, someone's going to reach out to you in 24 hours thing, stop doing that and make sure everyone, when they fill out your form, can book a meeting themselves in real time. It's going to do the most you can do for your entire company and your customer acquisition costs is to set up this. Why? Your attendance rate skyrockets because now your team is following up with somebody who made a commitment. I don't actually make a commitment when I request a demo. I'm simply requesting a demo. I've never made a commitment yet. So psychologically, I'm not committed. Once I schedule something on my calendar, I have to break up with you. I do not have to break up with you. I have to choose to attend if I don't make a commitment yet. This is a critical part in the psychology of marketing and sales. Okay. And then I'm using things like Clary or Insight Squared due to our scale. And then another really cool part is a video. Okay. So one of the things we do uniquely is I have to get someone from wanting my gift card to wanting me. This is the old bait and switch, right? They're on LinkedIn. They're busy with their life. They're like, you know what? Screw it. I'll hop on a call. $100 gift card. That's dope. But they still don't know like what the hell directive is, why they should hire us, what makes us different. They're just like, screw it. I'll give you 30 minutes of my time. Give me a $100 gift card. I'm interested. Well, I have to get them to want me. So some of the things we do, we use the hype video. We send 3 automated reminders, 2 emails, 1 text, and we have an email sequence that's coming from marketing. And then we don't do meetings Monday mornings or Friday afternoons. We have really high no-show rates. But once we added the video plus the Chili Piper, we then got all the way up to 84%. Okay. So now LinkedIn's working for me. Convo ads are working. Sponsored content's working. It's a little bit more expensive than convo ads, but LinkedIn doesn't have massive scale. So now what I do if I want to scale is I got to go to Facebook. I got to go to Instagram. I got to go to Facebook. I got all these channels, but Facebook has crappy B2B targeting. So what do? I use a platform called ClearBitX. ClearBitX allows me to take, see that 3,800 accounts that I was talking about before? Lets me upload every one of the accounts in my total addressable market and then advertise to those accounts on social media. This completely changes the game. And now I get massive scale. So from that, you know, I did spend about $120,000 on this one, did 5.6 in pipeline, 4.4 in LTV CAC, 63% lower cost per proposal given than LinkedIn sponsored content, and 341% ROI. So make it work on convo ads, validate that it can work in a news feed on LinkedIn. And then once you feel good about that, go to ClearBitX and get your scale at a lower cost on Facebook and Instagram. Then lastly, there's no such thing as B2B. Okay. I don't know what we did this as a group, but somehow we got together. We just wanted to be boring. We're like, let's just not say anything. Let's just do the like shittiest brands humanly possible. And then hopefully people will like us. I don't know why we do this, but this is true. Actually, I think I do know why. I think in B2B, we optimize for approval, not impact. So let me say that again. We optimize for approval, not impact. In other words, we don't pitch ideas that are too standoutish, too different, too special. So we want to get our ideas approved, especially designers. Designers give you things that they think you'll be comfortable with. So I have a policy when I work with anyone in our creative department and when we do things for clients. I let everyone know that you can never ship an initial concept to anyone that doesn't make you horribly uncomfortable. Because if you don't get out of your comfort zone, you have a very large tendency, whether you're working with a company or if you're doing it for yourself, to not veer too far from your comfort zones or what you've historically done. But you need to be more radical if you want to get success. So let me just show you an example quickly of the hype video we use after someone has said yes to the gift card, but before they've shown up to the meeting. And this is what really changed our attendance rates and our close rates. Francisco?
Yes. Yeah, we can hear you.
I want you to feel something, right? I want you to get excited. I want you to get emotional, okay? So here's kind of an emotion matrix we developed that can help you think about what emotion you're trying to create in your audience. For me, because I serve marketers, I have a very simple ethos of how I believe I get marketers to want directive. And quite simply put, I just try to do better marketing than they do. I want them to be jealous. So if you follow me or you look at what I do, you'll see all my live shows, you'll see all the types of stuff we're trying to create. And I want you to be jealous because I believe in a value that in our company called perception is reality. In other words, right now, if you're a marketing agency and you have crappy marketing and a crappy website, every person who goes to your website thinks that they are going to get crappy work from you. Guaranteed. Okay. So the way you introduce yourself introduces the perception of your value. And so for me, it's critically important that I make marketers jealous of my marketing because they believe that I will do something similar for themselves. And that is what they want. So where can you learn more about customer generation? Where can you learn more how to do this? Go to Society. It's a Slack group. You can literally DM me or anyone, any questions, ask the group. There's the smartest marketers in the world on here. It's very, very cool. I do live shows twice a week, Sour and SaaS Marketing Makeover. So you can also maybe get inspired with how you can do webinars and content that's more engaging. And then lastly, I coach agency owners. I love it. I only have 12 calls available a week. I'm not the most affordable guy, but everybody works with me, usually doubles, triples, quadruples their businesses. So if you're open to it, love to chat more. Here's my email. And yeah, thank you. I'd love to do Q&A.
Thank you, Garrett. This has been great. I mean, us personally at White Shark, and I can tell you because Anna and Lauren are in the session as well. We as sales marketing teams, we can relate a lot with a lot of the things that you covered because we went through some of those processes. Most of them we've been able to tackle, but there are some cool things here that I know that we're probably going to be looking into because we do them differently. We've tried the video to book a meeting. We haven't tried the paid social and how to monetize it. So I don't think, at least not as long as I've been here, that we've tried, the gift card approach. We actually have a couple of questions, but we have one question about that. And I'm going to start with that one before we wrap up, which is, how do you weed out window shoppers when you go for the gift cards? So, I mean, you discussed it, right? And no matter what channel you use, unless you're super hyper focused, you're not going to have an 100% conversion rate. But when you're putting money on, out there and say, hey, I'll pay you $100 for a call, how can you be so sure that you're not just going to get a bunch of window shoppers, eating up that marketing budget?
You will. So this will work from day one. I didn't monetize one of my gift card leads for 6 months. I'm talking, I was spending over $100,000 a month on ads plus gift cards for 6 months before I made a penny on it. Okay, so how did I fix it and what did I do? Right? First things first. Let's see. There's a book done by Winning by Design that has the best sales process in the world for your agency. Okay, it's called Winning by Design. Go to their resources, go to their books, and buy all their books. They're the best books on sales in the world. Okay. You probably have a really crappy sales process, just to be honest with y'all, okay? Because you're an agency, we almost all do. I had one, you probably have one right now, okay? Once you mature that like crazy with this and read the book, it's very prescriptive, it'll help you, okay? You start to get, like, for example, my thing goes to an intro call. Well, if I have booking 30 intro calls a day, I found SDRs can not do more than 10 intro calls a day. So I have 3 SDRs. Well, that means I have 3 different humans with 3 very different outcomes based on who's taking the call. So you got to make sure you map. So like when I do that TAM, I then tier it 0 through 5 based off employee size, how much you're spending on search, all these things. Then I can also offer different gift card sizes based on the size of the account, but never a gift card less than 100. Doesn't work. 100 is kind of the critical threshold for value. So then I do that, right? So I start mapping them to the right people, but I'm still getting all these weird conversations and I'm recording them all and gone. And I'm still getting that window shopper thing. So then I built an intro call deck. So every intro call has a deck that makes sure that they get BANT for all of our service lines, hype on our differentiators. And so instead of it being whatever SDR did on whatever call, now every SDR is using an intro call deck, and now I can start to optimize. So that's one of the things I did that was unique to me, number 1. Number 2, I started teaching my team. I actually personally started doing all the intro calls because I was tired of them telling me it doesn't work. And these people, it's this window shopping, all they want is the gift card. And I said, BS, like they're the right accounts. Remember, because everybody who's showing up, if you do this right, you have already manually verified that one day you want to work with this company. So if your thought process is they have to buy from me right now, you're wrong. What you have to do is you have to get them to the next step in your funnel to go from qualification to value, which is our strategy call. Okay. Now for us to do that, what I started to do is say, hey, Francisco, you're a VP. You don't need $100. Plus, even more importantly, you're careful with your time. So why'd you take this meeting? What can I really help you with? So in other words, I just make them look like a cheap bastard that's wasting my time. Okay. And that's how I got rid of the window shoppers, because nobody wants to be cheap and nobody wants to think they're wasting yours or their own time. So I just directly call people out. If I think that's what's occurring on a call, say, look, Francisco, come on, man. You're not here for $100. You don't need $100. Your time is everything to you. You're not trying to waste it. So what can I really do to get some value out of this today for you? And then I get them talking, and then I start finding their needs and their pain points, and I do it. So that's how I did it. And then remember, stop optimizing for the bottom, optimize for the top. Too many people are pitching their pennies and they're leaving millions on the table because a couple pennies fell off. Ignore the pennies. Never optimize your company to your worst talent. Optimize it to your best. Never optimize your pipeline to your worst leads. Optimize it to your best. You always optimize for upside. And so you just have to be disciplined and make sure if you did 10 and 8 of them were crappy, did the 2 make up for the 8 based off your lifetime value and customer acquisition cost? And if you're hitting your financial model, just keep optimizing, but don't get discouraged because you feel like people are taking advantage of you. Just let your ego go and push. And then what I try to always do is if people aren't ready, I built a field in our Salesforce that said, when will your contract be up? Now my team can run a report off of the entire software marketplace, and they know when every single solitary contract is up. So now I've solved the biggest problem in sales and marketing and outbound, which is timing. So I now have the timing for over 3,000 SaaS accounts when their renewals are up. That makes me very powerful. So it's that kind of, you just got to keep using your brain and don't get discouraged.
Yes, no, and we do something similar. I mean, that's a very, very powerful tip, I think, in regards to the contract expiration and the timing, because, you know, the more you go into the market, the more you find people that say, yeah, you're great, but just, you know, not now.
The right timing.
Yeah, exactly. And we do it a lot with winbacks as well. You know, if someone leaves, we really schedule a follow-up the day that we think that they're going to come back. And we usually nail it, you know, when we give the probation.
We just don't do it early enough in our sales process. We don't do it well in the intro calls. And so you like, and then the other thing you have to do on the end of an intro call is you always have to ask for a referral. So if you can always figure out when their contract does up, and if you can get a referral on every single solitary thing from your pipeline, that's how you monetize a $100 gift card.
And are you monetizing referrals as well? So are you paying someone to give you a referral?
Oh yeah. So I pay out the butt because I didn't like, so back when I was smaller, I got tons of referrals. I do better work now than I've ever done before. And I have the least amount of referrals. I also don't have account managers. So I have a consultant only model. So consultants have a tendency of really just focusing on the work, and they don't really do kind of a lot of the other stuff, which makes us also different than everybody else, right? Everybody else has an account manager. I say, let me talk to your team. My people, the person pushing the button, the person you're talking to, and I can hire consultants 6 figures plus because I don't have two people serving the account, I only have one. But I wasn't getting the referrals anymore. In other words, I'm doing better work, but I can't monetize all my investment in cost of goods sold because I'm not getting referrals and upsells as much. So what I'm starting to do, and it's early, I pay 3% of the total contract value. My average order value is almost $200,000. So it's about 5K plus for a referral. I also, that's if they close. If you get a referral and they make it to a proposal, I pay you $500. Now what I'm doing is in my weekly all hands, I'm having a referral leaderboard and we're doing a contest. So the person who gets the most referrals that week wins $500. If there's a tie, it pushes to the next week, kind of like betting in golf or something with your buddies.
Yeah.
When you tie on a hole, the next hole's worth double, next hole's worth triple, right? So then, and the winner for the month wins $1,000. So once again, right, if I'm willing to pay $3,000, let's say, to acquire a customer, why not pay $3,000 to acquire a referral? If I have higher close rates and higher AOVs, getting referrals is more important than anything else. Most of us just, once again, the reason we're not getting referrals is we're not spending enough money to acquire them. Almost all your problems are a byproduct of underinvestment.
Yes, no, and we've navigated the referral world as well. We've done gift cards, we've done recurrent revenue, we've done everything.
And we do $500 charity donation for the customer and a $250 gift card for their referral. So we do a ton.
Yeah, no, and it's a gold mine. When we talk to partners, they say, hey, listen, most of your customers are already out there. You just got to ask a friend to send them to you and you'll get them. So we're out of time, and I see some people have to drop off, so we're going to cut it short here. But thank you everyone for joining. I'm going to be joining Society, so you should all join Society so we can keep the conversation there. You're going to get a recording of the webinar as well, the content to your email if you sign up. If for people that couldn't attend, you're also going to get it there. So thank you for your time. Thank you, Garrett. This has been extremely insightful for us, and I'm pretty sure this has been insightful for our crowd, for our partners, and also for the prospects that are watching us now. So thank you for joining, and it was a pleasure.
This is awesome. If anybody needs help, feel free to shoot me an email, gmargaret@gmail. And then I think someone asked budget allocation, 10 to 15%. So that's total of revenue spent on sales and marketing. So thanks, all.
Thank you. Have a great day.